Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim and I host this incredible thing that is a cricketing podcast for all things South African cricket. It's a joy and it's a curse, especially today. It's a bit of a curse, but before we do anything, Tim, how are you doing?
Still haven't recovered. I'm still devastated. Days later.
And the sucky part about this is that as podcasters, we have to go through this and we have to kind of talk about this because we said to the people that we talk of all things South African cricket, and losing in a World Cup final, unlike the previous semi-finals, is something South Africans do. So we've done podcasts like these before, but they were more from an angry side because we never got to the final. It was always, we're knocked out. What happened? Netherlands at the last T20 World Cup. The World Cup last year in the semi-final against India, we were just blown away. And now we come to this point. But before we do anything, guys, please do support us. We are live on X at Full Quota Pod, so please do send through your comments there. We're also live on YouTube at the Full Quota Podcast. If you want to go to YouTube and have a look there, please send through your comments. We are live. It is a therapy session today. So any comments that you have that you want to talk about, you want us to delve into, please do. We're going to go through the whole game. Well, we're going to go through what happened to the game, all our emotions and everything else. And also, please follow us on Apple and Spotify. That's our growing community in the audio realm. So please do follow us there. We are effectively easing into the start of a new season. So we'll be a lot more sporadic. So please do like and subscribe. Follow us on X, so you know when we go live and we come back with new content. Largely because the new season starts in and around August, more to the back end of August, and we're going to try and get as many player interviews, as many discussion topics around the new season. We still need to talk about players moving in and out. We still need to talk to new players who've retired. We also need to talk. We also need to do a build up to SA20, which is more relevant to this conversation in terms of the auction and everything else. And some people, put up a very, very good show of themselves and showed why they get paid the big bucks in SA20 this tournament. But on Saturday, South Africa played their first ever T20 men's team played their first ever final against India. The result was India won by 7 runs, but it was a lot more closer than that. And in true form to South African World Cup exits, this is a tale as old as time. There's always drama when it comes to South Africa. 92, they were ahead in that semi-final, and Duckworth Lewis put them behind when it rained. 96, we can't necessarily talk about 96 because we didn't go out, but they underestimated West Indies side, and Brian Lara showed them the world. In 1999, we were winning that game. Needed 1 run to win, and I don't know how it ended up that way, off of 2 balls. And we don't know how we ended up on the losing side there. We do. We watched it. 4 balls. And we didn't win. 2003, we couldn't count. And we had it in our control. There's many other T20 exits, but we look at the 2007 World Cup, we got blown out by Australia in the first. We were 28 for 5. Against Australia. It was ridiculous in that semi-final. There's been many others. 2015, that World Cup semi-final heartbreak. There's a long list of all of these where we've been in a position where you have it, and it doesn't work out. And we're going to go through this. But here's the thing. Wake up on Saturday, Tim. It's a beautiful day on Saturday in South Africa. It looks like an even better day in Barbados. 4:30 hits. 4 o'clock hits the toss. That coin goes up. Aiden calls, Aiden called heads and it was tails. And India won the toss. And India are like, we're about to put the hurt lock on them. We are going to bat first. Your initial reactions to batting first. To them batting first.
We've lost the game. I can relax because we've lost the game at the toss. Nobody can. And India's going to score 220. I can literally start my braai and just glory in the fact that we actually made a final. That was my initial reaction.
Yeah, I think mine was, oh Lord, no, we're chasing. Oh, this is a problem. But then I was like, wait, what's the number? What's the number that I'll be happy with? And in my head, it was 180. 180 was my psychological barrier for us to give ourselves a chance in the back end chasing. Did you have a number? Because the thing when I look at that Indian batting lineup, if they go as aggressive as Rohit has done against England and Australia, and obviously Kohli was due a big innings, Surya Kumar was also playing really well, and they just had batters for days. They batted until number 9, and I'm sitting there going, they're going to try to get to 20, aren't they? Teams unchanged, everyone's good, and I'm sitting there going, 180 is, if it's around 180, I'll take. What was your number?
I didn't have a number simply because I thought that the pitch would play similar to what we've seen throughout the World Cup, and this pitch, in terms of T20 cricket, was the best surface throughout the tournament. So I didn't really have a number. I thought that because we were chasing, I thought anything over 160 is going to be very difficult. That's what I thought. Anything over 160 is going to be difficult, and we're going to have to bowl exceptionally well. But I didn't have a target as such because I didn't expect the pitch to play as well as it did for the batters.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that first over, because I think that was a key moment in the World Cup, right? In the final, right? Marco Jansen bowling to Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Marco hasn't had success against India. At the last World Cup, they climbed into him in the 50-over World Cup, and we were just all sat here going, oh no, what have we done? He's new, he's young, and he's getting peppered everywhere. Conceding 15 runs in that first over, multiple fours, 3 fours, 2, and Kohli just went ham at him. And you sit and I'm sitting there going, oh Lord, this is gonna be a long day. Because normally when we look at South Africa play in limited overs, it's how Marco bowls at the top. If he's on it, it feels like we're stealing overs, right? And you kind of sat there going, oh, it's a bad day for Marco. And then they brought in Kesh for that second over. Did you expect Kesh to take 2 wickets in that over?
No, I didn't. I saw 23 of the first 8 balls, and exactly what I said at the toss. All right, they're going to make 220. I can relax, no stress.
I'm going to put some chicken on the braai.
Exactly. Put my feet up. We've made a final. I was not at all stressed in any way, shape, or form. I did not expect that. I did not expect. Yes, because the way they were playing, that there was probably going to be some kind of a chance coming up at some point, because that's the way Rohit has played throughout this tournament. But I didn't expect the handbrakes to come on as quickly as they did. They really came on very, very quickly with that over from Maharaj.
Yeah, getting Rohit and Pant was really important and key to Saka getting into the game. You kind of felt like in that last semi-final and the more recent ones, if South Africa's getting dominated, you need a way to get you back into the game, and that over brought us back in. You then started seeing a lot of the fist pumps. The energy of the team increased, and then you then had a situation where Kagiso then begins his work, and Kagiso and Keshav also stolen over in the power play, only going for 6 runs. And Kohli's there, still being quite aggressive, and you've got Surya Kumar Yadav, and you're really worried. And then Kagiso Rabada does the inevitable, gets Surya Kumar Yadav, who has been the best batsman for India against South Africa. He actually hasn't even been taken. South Africa haven't taken his wicket. And then Kagiso in the final takes Surya Kumar Yadav's wicket, which then after that, Tim, you kind of saw Kohli go into his shell. It was like, oh, okay, so this man's now stopped scoring, trying to do the whole Mark Boucher tactics of let's go to 15 overs, then we'll see what we can get. And yeah, that was a moment. Like that power play was just so good. Started very badly, 23 of 8 balls. But then the rest, we ended that power play. Just trying to get the number for that power play at 45. So in 8 balls, we conceded 23. In the remaining 22, we scored 20, or we conceded 23 runs. So 22 runs. So it kind of gave you a sense of the handbrake of the holding up. And South Africa did really well. The fast bowlers were just superb. And that power play, Tim, it was kind of like we're in trouble. Then it was like, oh no, we're back in this. It's like a boxer. Now South Africa's starting to throw punches.
Yeah, like it was very important from India's perspective to play that the way they did. That's when I started to put up the sort of ramifications and the calculations of what we could be chasing, because we were really into the game at that point. And I kind of said at the time, a fourth kills it, a fourth wicket, and it's game over. Even though they've got people like Hardik and Jadeja coming in, having to bat for 12, 13 overs, 14 overs would have been, in most cases,
yeah,
a stretch too far.
Yes.
What they did was a very, very clever piece of manipulation with the batting order. It was very, very clever.
Yes, Akshar Patel coming in, just trying to push the pace in that middle order, kind of letting Kohli go silently. And I thought it was a good thing. We struggled to get him out, Tim, and it was getting out of hand, and it was sitting there going, I thought this guy is gonna, get one up in the air and he'll be out. But he really helped Kohli in that period just to subdue the South African attack. For the next 10 overs, they went for 7.8 and over. And then you're standing there at 15 overs and it's 118 for 4. Shamsi's bowled well. Anuk Nokia's bowled well. Kagiso's done well. You're now sitting there going, okay, we could have something here. Marco also was, in his third over, did well in that 14th over, 10, only conceding 10 runs. And then you're 118 for 4, and you're standing there going, what's the target now? Can they go supernova in the next 5 overs? And to a certain extent that they did. They managed to get to 176 from 118 in the last 5. And it was largely because of Kohli. Once Kohli got to at 50, he then started climbing into the South African bowlers. Marco Jansen was still unlucky with that 60. No, it wasn't unlucky. He didn't bowl well. It was that 16 run over in over 19. And then we had another bad over of 17 runs. And then you just were finding yourself going, okay, it was Rabada's over that went for 16, and then Marco's over that went for 17, even though he got a wicket. And you just were like, okay, just don't. In my head, I'm like, just don't let them get to 180. Don't let them get to 180. They've got batters. You just need wickets. You're keeping yourself in the game here. You just need to hold on. I don't know what our batters are looking like because they haven't batted on a good pitch, but it looks a decent track. And if we can get a partnership, we can get to 180. And I think the question, obviously, Tim, is, and those obviously at the innings break, what are you thinking? 176, 177 to win.
I'm thinking if India bowl like they've bowled throughout the tournament, it's 20 too many. I'm thinking that. But at the same time, I'm thinking we have got a chance. I'm thinking sort of 65-35 within India's favour. So we've got a chance. It needs a special innings from Quinton or a special innings from Klaasen. Something like that could change it. So
yes,
I'd rather be India at that point, but we're not out of it. We're certainly not out of the game.
No, and that's what I felt. I was like, okay, there's a chance. They've got runs, and this is the reason why in a World Cup final, the teams that win the toss and bat first win most of those games, 7 out of 8, largely because once you've put down the score on the board and you put the pressure on the team batting second, you run the risk of obviously what happened in our second innings, right? But let's talk about our bowlers, right? So the final bowling card was Marco Jansen getting 4 overs, 1 for 49, which wasn't a great outing. They just see him as our weakness, and I'm just, I don't know what to make of this, because everybody sees him as our weakness.
Yeah, and actually everybody sees him as our weakness in whatever he does. So when they did the analysis afterwards, we said South Africa lost because they were a batter light, not that Jansen was bowling poorly. I don't necessarily agree with that analysis, but I had.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of his bowling, I think it is an issue, because under the pump in the last World Cup, he faltered. Under the pump here, he faltered. He bowled largely in the slot deliveries, and that's just asking for punishment in whatever situation a team like India is in. If you're going to bowl in the slot to anyone in that top 5 or 6, chances are you're going out of the ground.
Yes, and India have a lot of right-handers, so it was just a matchup not great for him. Similar to what many would have said about Tabrez, but Tabrez in this game just put his hand up even more against a team he struggles against. Same issue with Marco, right? Turning the ball into the right-hander, and the ability for these Indian batters to pick you off your legs and use those wrists and flick you to square leg for 4 or 6 is just a problem for him, right? And then you ask him to bowl it wide, and then you just enter into the realm of cover drives and everything else, because Marco just over pitches. And he's got a long way to go. He's raw. He's got talent. He can produce a great game, but against India, it's just like, oh my word. And I had shades of last year, because if you look at our bowling card, right? If I told you everybody but Marco, all your bowlers got an economy rate of 9 and under in a final, you would have thought we won the game.
Job done. It's job done.
Yes.
Literally. Against that top 6, it's job done. Whatever they have got, you've done your bit.
And I look here, I don't understand why Marco bowled out. Keshav still had 1 more over, and Shamsi still had 1 more over, and that's going to be a question to Aiden's captaincy, because I thought we fielded really, really well. I love the field placings, but it was the decision around bowling Marco that extra over. You could have bowled Shamsi in that over and taken that because he was doing really, really well, and he was in some sort of a groove. But it was that last over of giving Marco that over where he went for 17 or 18, whatever it was.
Look, I agree, but also if you look at when we discussed our chase, what India did, they bowled those spinners, and those spinners got done. So in a similar situation, if Tabrez had bowled that over, there's no guarantee that it would have gone for nines or 10s. 11, we would love the 9s or 10s, but there's no guarantee that's exactly what. So that's it. I understand why he did it, but in hindsight, that's what I would have done. I would have said to one of the spinners, listen, don't normally ask you to bowl this late in the innings, but Marco's struggling, so we need you to step up.
And he was always very good with that, identifying who was struggling and not bowling them. So, for instance, the idea that Kagiso only bowled in the 18th over against the West Indies was because he knew that it was going to be a tough day. The same thing with Othniel Bartman. The moment he started bowling those full tosses, we went. This is a man. In a game against the Netherlands, he gave the ball to Keshav Maharaj in the 20th over. And Keshav bowled full tosses, but we got through. So then my question was, why are you being conservative now when you've been aggressive all tournament?
Yeah, it goes back into that C word that's been mooted a couple of times in a couple of articles. Not entirely, because I don't entirely agree with it, but it does go into that in terms of, as you rightly said, he's been forthright, attacking, forward-thinking throughout this World Cup. It required that kind of captaincy. It required a captain to go, this could go pear-shaped, but my other man is just not doing the business, and I've got to take him off. But even if Aiden had taken the responsibility and said, I'm
bowling that over. Yeah.
I'm taking it on. I could have slightly fastened the trajectory. It's less easy to get underneath my deliveries. Maybe I should bowl that over. But hindsight is a perfect thing. But I did think at the time that's probably what should have happened.
Yeah. So let's go into our batting. 176 in my head. So I have that 180 target. So I'm like telling everyone around me, this is a winning total. This is it. It's moments like this. Our bowlers have done the job. They've come to the party. Yes, Marco had a horrible show, but everyone else was superb. Markram bowled like a king, like he was a 10-year veteran. Keshav bowled like, oh my word, it was like the best game of his life. Tabrez is the man for the big moment. I'm sorry, but Shamsi, like, that spell was amazing. Amazing. And then obviously Kagiso and Anrich just, doing the Kagiso and Anrich things, being like, yeah, we're just generational talents. That's how we do, right? So I'm excited. I'm like sitting there going, okay, cool. What Riza we're going to get? The pitch is consistent. The bounce is consistent. But there's a problem. There's a Bumrah on the other end. There's nothing I can do about that. And, Riza, oh my word. I don't think you could ever get a good ball like that. Riza, my word. Like Bumrah just had him. It was just like, okay, we understand. The end of a poor tournament. It's been a very horrible time for Riza, Tim, and there was nothing that he could have done with that. But then you looked at our captain. He can't score that many runs. He hasn't scored that many runs in the tournament. He needs to try and get that partnership again with Quinton. He had that 100-run partnership with Quinton. If we can get that, we put pressure on the Indians with the three coming in, the destruction boys. But he too falls, chasing a wide one, which I don't know. I don't know what we need to do with Markram and his technique. I'm starting to get a little tired, but he's captain, so I'll let it be. And he was on form earlier this year, so I'll give him that. It's just a poor showing at a tournament for a South African captain, and the question is going to be, should we then put pressure on these guys whom we need so much from, rather than giving it to someone else like a Keshav or a bowler who will always be in the side and they always bring their side of the bargain? And so I don't know, but that's another debate for another day.
I was going to say, I don't want to go into that just yet. Yeah.
But then at the end of the power play, Tim, we find ourselves ahead of India in the power play. We managed it so well. South Africa really did well with that. It was Quinton and Tristan just moving it around, taking boundaries, taking singles, and you're ahead of India by that power play. And so what are your thoughts then, Tim?
My thoughts are, I don't think I was necessarily even thinking at that point, we've got this. I was still thinking when I was thinking at halftime, I'm thinking there's going to come a moment where we're going to lose a couple of wickets and momentum's just going to go beyond us. India's kind of got this in check. We are in a good position. There's no doubt about it. But I just kind of got the impression that India were fine. They were absolutely fine where they were. So at that point, it was still a way before I was confident or thinking towards possibly winning. I wasn't thinking at that point. I was thinking game was nicely poised, but it's still going to need something special for us to get over the line. And that wasn't obvious at that point.
Yeah, and obviously we started losing wickets, as you say. Quinton gets out. So too does what's this thing? Tristan Stubbs. Tristan Stubbs goes first at 70 for 31 of 21. Um, and then you're sitting there going, okay, cool, but Quinny's still there, so we can still soldier on. Him and Klaassen put on a partnership there. It was really good to see. They really did push on for those 36 runs, but Klaassen was being Klaassen, right? In that 14th over, 15th over, where he took 23 runs off of that, 24 runs of that over, and he just took into Akshar Patel 4-6-6-4. Klaassen was just keeping us in the game, and it was a simple thing: get a boundary early in the over and just try find singles. And it felt that was something we could do. And we just needed to tick along, give ourselves a chance, just keep ticking along. And as Klaassen kept on staying in, you felt that we had this. We're here, him and Miller, just moving the ball around. And I was calm. By over 15, I sat there going, we need 30 off 30. Klaassen broke the back of the chase. We are sitting here going, anybody in the world, 99 times out of 100, anybody who's sitting on 30 of 30, who's a full member nation, we don't talk associates because that's a little bit different, but even some of the associates, if you're 30 for 30 with 5 to go, you should win the game. Even with, and this is the other thing, right? Obviously, you got the Bumrah overs. You got two Bumrah overs. You need to see them out. India panicking. They're bowling him earlier than they want him to. And so you're sitting there going, I was sitting there asking, are they going to bowl a spinner in one of the last few overs? That's in my head. And I was like, okay, Hardik Pandya, we've got a chance. And then, I don't know, Tim. I don't know. We ended up losing by 7. We ended up needing 16 in that final over. Klaassen gets bamboozled. The Rishabh Pant, we saw that sportsmanship, Rishabh Pant, taking the time, stopping the game, slowing everything. And then the next ball, Klaassen gets out. And then you have Marco, and you have Kesh, and David Miller's now trying to figure out how he's going to get there. And it just died. And I must say, we saw probably 2 of the best overs from Jasprit Bumrah in the history of cricket. And South Africa's MO at the time was just to survive. And we all here were sitting, just survive this over. You don't need to take a risk. And the South Africans faltered to the other bowlers, Arshdeep Singh, Hardik Pandya, and India world champions. Tim, those 5 overs, your emotions, they've brought you back in. Do you believe at this point in time at over 15?
And no, because I am the eternal pessimist of this podcast. Once one of those overs for Bumrah is gone, so when it's 26 of 24,
Yes.
26 of 24, Bumrah's got 1 over. 1 over.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. That's when I actually, no, that's when we've won. We have won this game.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what happens to the Bumrah over. That Bumrah over can go for 2 or 3. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Goes for 2 or 3. We don't get out. We get the runs of Arshdeep, Hardik, and
Hardik again. It was Arshdeep and Hardik.
Hardik bought 2 of those overs. Look, if you have 9 times out of 10, if you have got Hardik bowling 2 overs, 24 of 26 needed, you have got to change your game plan in the way that they did. You have got to say that one of those overs, this has to go for 10. I don't care how well he's bowling. This has to go for 10. The other one can go for 1. It's not a problem. You can't take this to the final over needing what we needed. That's where it was lost.
Yeah. So 26 to 24, Tim, before you continue, I'll get... So 26 balls of 24, 26 runs of 24 balls In my head, I'm like, no. You get through that one Bumrah over, that's fine. Doesn't matter how many runs it goes for. It can go for a maiden for all I care. But
Exactly.
you need to go 10-10-6. That's how you've been doing it all game long. One boundary and over, singles. A boundary, singles. And the thing is, you're gonna get another chance to get a boundary. You just needed 4 boundaries to win you the game. And here we are.
I know.
We lost the World Cup. Surya Kumayana. And here's the thing. The first ball of Hardick's final over, what does he give? We need 16. What does he give David Miller? It's a full toss. I was celebrating. As it came out of his hand, I was like, here we go, Lord. Thank you. I was praying I was like, Lord, please, full toss. Full toss, please, Lord. Full toss. And he gets it. And we see the greatest catch in the history of the world.
And he just about middles it, not quite, because if you middled it,
it's bat turned as he hit the ball, and I was like, but still get there.
But it's still going to get there. It's still going to go all the way. It's still going to go over the boundary. You're going to have the figure coming across, but he's going to be in fine. It's going to be 10 or 5 with him facing 10 or 5, easy peasy. I go back to what I said. You can't allow 16 needed of that final over. Again, hindsight is a beautiful thing. They made key errors in this particular. I don't think they made any key errors in the bowling apart from the one we discussed, 1 over extra of spin. I think otherwise they got it absolutely on point perfectly. We said this weeks ago, before this World Cup started. We said it throughout the World Cup. We had been batting. We said Maharaj is struggling with the bat. The Maharaj who used to be able to get runs, he used to be able to get quick runs as well. He used to be able to get quick runs. That man is no longer there. This is when you need to do exactly what India did. India did it. Bring Rabada in above Keshav. If we bring Rabada in above Keshav, I think
we win the World Cup.
Pressure comes off Miller having to hit every ball he faces to the boundary, and we win the World Cup.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to the sequence, Tim, of Maharaj facing Arshdeep Singh in that 19th over. Arshdeep to Maharaj, no run. He would try to hit the ball wide and he didn't get it. The next ball, he tries to lather it as fast as he can. Still can't get onto the ball. And at that point in time, I'm sitting there going, just get in line. All you need to do is get in line. Let the ball hit you because you can run.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Because if you get in line, Miller's on the other end. He's got 4 balls to face Arshdeep, not 3 or even 5. And Arshdeep was bowling wide. So you follow the ball. I don't need you to hit the ball through cover. I just need you at that point. And I don't know, maybe our lower order batters think that they're better than everyone else or they're better than what we think they are. But it's a bloody World Cup final. Just get in line. You've got one of the best batsmen in the world on the other end, and you are thinking that we want you to take us home? No.
We needed a glove replacement. That's what we needed. We needed a message to go out. That's what we needed. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for some kind of message to go out. Listen, that's what it should have happened. At least he was trying. Janssen hits the ball. Hit the ball. If you get out, that's fine. That means that's 1 ball you get out, and we will rely on David Miller.
So Abish says Janssen at 7 makes our tail too long in crucial games. We need a specialist batter at 7 and drop Janssen to 8. I don't even think drop Janssen to 8. Drop him out the team. If you can find someone who can even bowl spin, John Smuts. I know you guys don't like him. John Smuts at 7, we win the World Cup. And you drop either Shamsi and then you go with your 3. You can drop Shamsi and you go with Janssen as a fast bowler. But we need an answer. We need to have a national symposium or a meeting or a conference around that number 7 spot. Janssen is not a number 7.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. He isn't. When we did sort of touch about on this. Did we really need 3 first-time frontline spinners in this World Cup? Conditions-wise, probably we did. But in terms of the makeup of our side, we needed a Johnson number 2. It didn't matter who it was. Mpho Proteas. Yeah. If we had Mpho Proteas, I think we win this World Cup. I really do.
A certain Vian? Or are we still out? Are we still not happy with the fact that whenever he wears green and gold, he just doesn't show up?
I think my issue with Vian is can he score 10 or 5 balls?
He can. He proved it for the Durban Super Giants. I've watched him live do that.
In a Proteas shirt.
That's the only problem. It's the Proteas shirt. And that West Indies tour where we got hammered just before kind of put a sour taste in everyone's mouth. But he should have been in that World Cup squad. He should have given Rob an option. Because what teams are doing now is their number 7 is a batter who can bowl. Right? And there's places where you can hide players like that, and there's ways you can do it. And Vian's no slouch. Vian gets swing, so you can put Vian in, right? And most importantly, Vian can get swing away from the right-handers, right? It's just obviously Marco gives you that left arm action, and he's quicker than Vian. And to a certain extent, my thing is, even if Vian scored 1 run the entire tournament, at that point in time, batting with David Miller, Vian knows what he needs to do. And I'm becoming an advocate for Vian, but I think that's essentially where we lost it. I'm sorry, but like the tail was too long, and we're batting like it. We're batting as though we knew that it was going to fall. The bottom was going to fall apart. And the great thing about Vian is that you could do the whole Akshar thing with him. When Markram goes out, you bring Vian in instead of Hanno Klaasen, and you go. QDK still go, right? And so so that's where I'm looking at it, right? And Avish speaks about obviously the end. Our bowling and fielding was on point. It was perfect. It was so we pitched a near perfect game. Yes, we had our moments, but it was a game worthy. If I got the bowling performance before the final, I'd say fine, yeah, I'll take it. They're very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then he says, when we have a team on the ropes, we need to be more ruthless with the bat. We just need to think. It became a situation of just think, guys. And I kind of feel the 30 for 30, 24 of 26, 26 of 24 kind of allowed them into a false sense of, I can allow him another dot ball. Or it's not that
difficult. It also felt like that miscalculated. So I actually had to go back. Those last 4 overs, Bumrah had 1 of those 4 overs. 1. So the other 3, I'm sorry, there's other 3 who have
was that Ashti
runs. You have got to score those runs against those other bowlers. Ashti in the power play is very difficult. There's no doubt about it. He's a very, very useful, good bowler. Outside of those first 6 overs, he's not as dangerous. He doesn't get as much movement, and I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who we have. You've got to find a way to get those runs. Whether you do a scoop, reverse sweep, I don't really care. Reverse hit, find a way. Get him off his length. None of those batters tried anything differently. They just said, let's give the ball to David Miller because David Miller's in. It needed a bit of support, and that wasn't there.
Yeah. And maybe it's our batting at the death that we need to improve as a nation. because if we're going to go in with 5 specialist quicks, those 5 bowlers need to know how to bat when times are tough. And we can't run away from that. We can't run away from it, because I'm sitting here going, I'm taking a spinning all-rounder. And I know Keshav has been amazing. I understand he's been amazing. But the other question is Bjorn Fortuin. If Bjorn Fortuin is there, Bjorn, we win the game.
The only thing I would say to that, I've been a massive supporter of Bjorn's, and I want him to play more for South Africa. But in recent times when he's played, he hasn't performed. He's performed below his level of the lines. I don't know why that is.
Shooting down all my ideas, man. Okay, but that's the mind of a spectator. I'm sitting there going, what could we have done differently? Where did we lose this? Is it a mental thing? Is it we broke the back of a chase against the world's best bowling attack? We had India on the ropes. They were crying. They were desperate. And we're not World Cup champions. It's not Victory Monday. Miller 6 in the final over. Quintrishi ruled out. Leaves a stain on this final. I'd like to have a second look at that. I haven't gone back and looked at that. The first time I looked at it, I thought a piece of the cushion moved a little bit, but I don't know. It would have.
I don't want to go back into it, but somebody did point something out for me.
Yeah.
So just very briefly, that white line that you see, the boundary gets moved dependent on where the pitch is. So just because you see that white line does not mean that is the boundary. It's the boundary if the pitch is in the center of the entire ground. This pitch was not, which is why it was pushed out slightly, which made it look like he puts his foot literally over the boundary line. But it isn't quite like that. You're right. It does look like that way, but look, we can't make it. We can't change it. We can't redo it. We can't have a repeat.
Yeah.
We can't have a rematch.
Tim, let's go through the players' performance throughout the World Cup. I just want to put up some of the stats, and then we're going to have we're going to give grades to the players and their performances in the World Cup. South Africa only used 13 players, 12 players. Othniel Bartman and Shamsi kept on interchanging throughout the tournament. But let's go to the batting. It wasn't a great tournament for us. Tristan Klaasen was de Kock was a high scorer, 243 runs, an average of 27, a strike rate of 140. Those strike rates don't look great, but it's also a function of the pitches. Klaasen next best with 190 at a strike rate of 126. Stubbs 165 at a strike rate of 101 with an average of 33. David Miller 169 at a strike rate of 102. Aiden Markram 123 runs at a strike rate of 100, but an average of 15 and 9 innings. He didn't have a great tournament. So too did Reza Hendricks, 113, 14 average, a strike rate of 87. Our batting team wasn't great. What do you make of these stats at the end of it all?
So obviously, we were based in New York. New York had terrible T20 pitches. There's no way getting around it. That is why the strike rates are as low as they are. I had a look. That's in terms of his career. That's David Miller's lowest strike rate since 2011. But nobody can say he had a poor World Cup. The runs he scored were incredibly important. When he did score
so to Klaasen.
So that top four can say, I had a good World Cup. There's no doubt about it in terms of the bat. They all produced goods in at least one match. But in terms of something like Cook, was more like 3 or 4 matches. But it goes back to what we said before. Lower order runs never came our way. And that proved to be...
Marco Jansen, 32 runs in 6 innings, an average of 8, and a strike rate of 96. Rabada,
Yeah.
obviously just 9 runs, but yeah, we need an answer at 7. Yeah, and obviously there's rumors around Quinton not necessarily playing T20 cricket going forward. But what do you say of Reza and what does that work? Okay, actually, let's talk about that later. Just hold on. The bowling, Tim. Yeah, our bowling was amazing, superb. Look at those averages: 11, 13, 15, 15, 15. Marco Jansen with the 30, but we've spoken about him. Aiden Markram as a bid part bowler, we've spoken about him. But those economy rates, yes, a function of New York, but my word, look at Bartman. 5 games, 6 wickets, average of 15, economy rate of 4.94. Shamsi, a strike rate of a wicket every 9 balls. Shamsi. The Tabraze that everyone laughs at. I think this was a World Cup that he reminded everybody that he should be number 1 spinner for South Africa. Nokia on a tournament or on a comeback with injury, we're worried about him. He came second, 15 wickets, strike rate of 14, economy 5.74. Rabada, who doesn't perform well at these tournaments, but this year he brought out the best. Maharaj, 11 wickets, congratulations, well done. Marco took 7 wickets. He was not the pick of the bowlers, but that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bowlers can put their hands up and say that, yeah, they did a job for us.
Certainly can. They certainly can, and even the fact that Markham bowled as many overs as he did, and came out well. In terms of economy, it's not going to get a lot of wickets, but in terms of economy, under 7, that's outstanding.
Yeah,
the bowlers did their bit of business. We said that they would do the business because they really are doing really, really well. They're playing well as a team. They're playing well as a unit. But obviously, the big news is that Nokia came through fit, firing at his best, and long may it continue, because when he's there, it makes a huge difference to the body lineup, just in general. Just makes a huge difference to have someone with an extra pace.
We got a comment from Avish. Guys, Miller's temperament here has to come into question. He could have shepherded the tail better. He lost his wicket carelessly against the West Indies too. Yes, and it is something that we have noted. I kind of felt that he battered himself into a corner. And when you're in that moment, he gets South Africa. I think he gets South Africa out like 2 out of 5 times in that situation. 3 of those 5 times he just loses, and it doesn't work out for him. But it's more than pretty much a lot of the people in world cricket. It's just that his luck ran out in this tournament because he got us out against the Netherlands. I think against Bangladesh he was not there, but yeah, he ebbs and flows, and he gives us a chance. It's just it's tough being him because he has to kind of and it happened that way, that he needed to be the one facing that last over, starting that last over, and it just didn't work out because he got a full toss. It wasn't a careless wicket. We all would have swung at that. It's just that's how the cookie crumbles. It's there's a thin line between success and failure. Tim, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, look, it goes to, I think, what will be our final point in terms of the 3 individuals who either are getting on a bit, or their eye has been turned by franchise cricket, according to Cock. He's been a fantastic servant, but it's a valid point. It is a valid point. I still think if the lower order had done their part and not put all that pressure on Miller, we get over the line in this World Cup and we don't chase 16 in that final over. So in this instance, I'm going to cut him some slack But your general point is Stubbs is his successor. That's fairly clear from what we've seen in this World Cup. So his powers are diminishing, but they are still very, very important to this Proteas setup, I think, for another couple of years, assuming he wants to continue playing.
Yeah. No, that's true. Okay, let's go to the grading of all the players. We're going to start with the batting lineup and we're going to go down. So, what grade do you give Quinton de Kock in this tournament? A, B, C, or D?
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're not doing numbers. We're doing.
Let's do numbers out of 10. Out of 10.
Okay. I'm gonna say, because of how worried I was, because of how concerned I was in general, and the slow start that he had, even I was thinking maybe that one innings that wins us the game isn't going to materialize. I'm gonna say 8.
Yeah.
I think I would give it a 9 if he took us over the line on Saturday. But I think 8 in general, coming back from such a slow start on difficult pitches, he showed his class. He's still got it. If he wants to be involved, he's definitely still got it.
Yeah. He's our best batsman this tournament. And I don't know what we could have done without him. Obviously in the group stages, he didn't bring his best. But the moment the Super Sixes started, he was at his best. He was at the Quinton we know we can. And the way he got out is the most Quinton way of getting out. It's in his zone, he's gonna have to hit it. And even though they put a man there, he fell to that. So I think pretty much 8.5, 9. He exceeded my expectations, and I don't want him to let go of T20 cricket. I know he doesn't want to play ODI anymore, so I just hope he just keeps this going, because I think this team has something for 2026. Reza Hendricks, what's your number?
Well, it would be unfair for me to just go and give naught, because that's just unfair. That would be way too harsh. I'm gonna say 3.
3.
It was poor. There's no getting around about it. It was really poor. He was struggling throughout the tournament. I think he made 19 in the group stages, and that innings was the one time I thought he's actually in decent form. He just needs a bit of luck. He just needs to get 25, get to 30.
Do you back him going forward?
I don't, I'm afraid. I think if we're looking forward to 2026, he's not going to be involved in 2026. We've got lots of batting options around the country. He's 34. He's 34.
Yes.
No, I think, thanks, Reza, you've been a great servant. He's always going to end up with the career of he should have played more for South Africa. But what I like is he always gave it 100%. He did not shirk his responsibility, despite the fact of very clearly struggling throughout the tournament.
Yeah. I can't run away from it. I'm giving him a 4. It's not a pass mark. It's a failure. It's just sad that he finally gets the World Cup where he's backed fully, and he doesn't perform. He's been so good this year. Even in the Pakistan Super League, he was amazing. But I just don't know what happened. And he knows he didn't do well. He can only tell us what happened and what went wrong there. And yeah, just truly disappointing, especially in a World Cup where batting in the power play was the easiest period to bat, and he just couldn't get going. And you can't. I hate it when cricketers go, no, he's unlucky. Like, look, there's a point in time where you need to, buckle down and be like, I'm not getting out. And yeah, I felt for him. And like you, I don't think he's coming back in the next squad, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think Rob might bring him in amidst all. There's a lot of transformation talk going around, so Reza might just be kept. And I'm not going to complain because I sat here defending Timber for years. So, yeah. Captain Aiden, captaincy aside, I'm going to do two things. One for captaincy and one for batting. Batting. What do you give him?
It's got to be similar, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
I'd say, again, you could argue that he actually gets less than Reza because he did get starts. He did get starts, and he didn't capitalize on those starts, and there were definitely some soft dismissals in there. So I'm going to go 2.9 then. If I'm going to give Reza 3, then I'm going to get 2.9
Hey.
for the points I raised.
It and definitely gets a 1 lower than Reza, and I give him a 3, and largely because there's more expectation on him than Reza. He has all the talent, all the upside, but it's not coming through. And my thing is, we need to get to a point where we realize that maybe in green and gold, he's not the guy who he is. It's typical to Vian Mulder. It's just Vian's not in the gene, right? This guy Aiden can score great domestically, incredible runs domestically. But internationally, it's been this here and there. You get flashes. But when it matters most, it's never there. And the question for me is like, is that okay? You know? And yeah, it's not. His captaincy, Tim. What are you giving his captaincy?
9.5. I thought it was outstanding. I actually will go as far as saying he is the best captain we have had in this format, which makes his lack of runs so frustrating because you can't have a Mike Burley in the 21st century. You can't make any runs at all.
Oh wow!
But
not Mike Burley.
Really good captain.
Okay.
No, look.
Yeah.
The analogy is because he's been captaincy, he's been outstanding. Not that he's Mike Burley level of captaincy. That's just
no, we know. He's just a passenger.
Yeah, his forward-thinking captaincy, his attacking captaincy, his trust and belief in the Brez, who is an emotional. And Keshav. Keshav is not so much. Keshav isn't. I separate the two because Tabriz is a confidence cricketer. Tabriz needs a little bit of backing. I don't think Keshav needs that. Keshav has got that inner self-belief that even if his captain doesn't believe in him, when he does come onto bowl, he is going to get a wicket. Whereas Tabriz needs that little bit of backing. So how he marshalled the bowling, the bowling changes, he trusted himself to bowl in this World Cup when it was needed. I think that as a captain is very important. Too many captains become captain and then they go, I know I can't bowl, but no, somebody else must bowl. I think the only thing that you could say is what we touched on at the final is in terms of he got his, he didn't back the spin when perhaps he should have in the final. Otherwise, perfect.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, I think for me, sorry, just playing with the lights. It's what happened in the final is the reason why I'm giving him a 9. You can't if you win the World Cup, it's 10 out of 10. You had the ingredients of a 10 out of 10. That Keshav lost over against the Netherlands was insane. It bordered on insanity, but he did it. Berlin Kagiso for his first over in the 18th over against the West Indies, that too was unbelievable. Backing Tabriz in the biggest games in the World Cup, even you've backed Odnir Bartman all the way through, that also was very cool. Bowling himself at times, especially in the final, it worked. Went for 8 runs and over. He took some crucial wickets along the way, especially against England. You know, and bowling, Anuk never bowls at the death. Anuk is the middle of his bowl, he gets his 4 overs done, it's like you're stealing. But he bowled that final over, I think it was against England. and we got through. And everybody he gave the ball to, it worked. Fielding positions were perfect. And yeah, we sit here. But that's an 8. Okay, Tristan Stubbs. What do you give him?
I'm giving him a solid 7.
Okay.
I thought he showed real maturity in this World Cup. And I said briefly earlier, he is the successor to David Miller for me. As soon as David says, I'm hanging out my boots, there's no sort of apprentice needed. There's no sort of early period where he needs to be looked after. He belongs in this 11. He belongs in this team. His performances with the bat have been outstanding in very, very difficult conditions. For somebody who needs the ball coming onto the bat, he's played on pitches that are very foreign to him, and the way he's gone about it, I thought the Saturday partnership was an outstanding partnership. It could have, for me, it actually could have been the difference. That partnership between him and Quinton de Kock, 58 of 38, and it really wasn't helter-skelter. It was just good quality rotation of strike, looking for the boundaries when they were there. He gets a huge plus for me. And in this World Cup, I was a bit worried. So a solid 7 for me.
He exceeded expectations. Yeah, he exceeded expectations for me. I was really impressed by this new version of Tristan. This season, people have spoken to us about this new version of Tristan, this guy who isn't the basher, but is a guy who you put in your middle order, can score quickly, can play the modern games, the style of the modern game. And but he also has many different versions of his batting. And this tournament, we saw the different versions of Tristan's batting, the holding on in those tough games against Sri Lanka and against Bangladesh, and also against the Netherlands. On top of that, it was in the Super Sixes and in the final where he was there, he was present. He wasn't like the other two we've spoken about, where it was just like, you might as well not have come. Tristan added value in the final. We don't get there without him. And that says a lot in the biggest spot in the world. And his fielding. Really, really good player there. We've got something. And like Tristan, if you can just turn your arm over a little bit, we might get something. You might become like a JP Duminy. Just, something like that. Just to help us get another batter in there, Tristan. I know you can do everything. You can keep, you can just be like, this season, let's add something. And he's that type of guy. The sky is the limit from a ceiling perspective for that kid. And I'm so excited that he's South African. Heino Klaassen. Classy.
It's a difficult one, this, isn't it? Because everyone was talking about him prior to the tournament. Everyone was saying he's going to dominate. Everyone was saying he's going to be around about the leading run scores of the tournament. If he plays anything like he's played over the last 12 months. So by that metric, he's been maybe slightly subdued in his performances. But again, as we've discussed with the top 6, when he has scored the runs have been absolutely vital. When he has got over the line and scored those runs early on in the tournament. So I'm gonna go 7.5, only by the expectation of him was much higher than anyone else in the top 6 because of what had been done over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I'm thinking 6.5, and largely because he didn't meet expectations for me, but he was above average in an average. He didn't have an average tournament. He actually had a good tournament. It's a good in a layman's terms standard. For him, we wanted great. We wanted him to show the world that he's the best batter in the world. We wanted him to light this tournament up. We wanted him to take on overs 10 and 20 and be that guy where I was telling people, even in the final, I'm like, no, don't worry. The final's not over until Klaasen's out. You cannot write this team off until Heino Klaasen's out. I never got that class. I only got that Klaasen once. It was against West Indies. That 20 runs in that over that got us over the line, over the hump. That was it. But he did the same thing against India in the final. He got us over the hump. So maybe I could push it to a 7. And that's who Classy is, right? The domestic Classy of a DSG, he's still there. You got glimpses. But you wanted a fuller meal. You wanted him to be the one at the end, standing at the end of any innings and saying, I'm your guy. I got you home. We didn't get that Classy. We didn't get that class. So 6.5, 7. That's what I'm saying. Okay, David Miller.
This is a tricky one. My expectations of him were not as high simply because I think that his powers are generally waning. But again, those runs against the Netherlands don't happen. We don't make the final. That is simple. That innings against the Netherlands doesn't happen. We do not make the final. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm gonna be boring and just give a nice solid 7 without any sort of flares. Again, if he could over the line, I would have been probably pushed to an 8, just simply because that would have been a World Cup medal around his neck. And it would have been largely down to him if we had got over the line. So I'm going to go 7.
Okay. Now I'm with you. Everyone's seemingly getting a 7 in that middle order, but it worked. It kept us in the tournament. Without him, we'd be nowhere. And to me, it was a typical Miller tournament. Some high notes, some low notes. Nothing in between, no big innings to be like, hey, we're here, but he gets us out of trouble. And Miller was that guy, and he got us out of trouble. He kept us in games, kept us in the final. Obviously, that wicket will live in his eyes forever because that ball, like that full toss, just coming out of Hardick's hands. I'm still replaying in my mind. Yeah, so I'll give him a 7. I think he just met expectations. He's our sweeper. He's our cleaner. He's the guy who keeps us out of trouble. And he did that really well. I think we're still going to continue with him for as long as he wants to. And I hope that in 2026, he's there to try and right the wrongs of 24. Marco Jansen.
A 3. Again, I really thought that this was going to be his tournament in many ways. I thought he was going to deliver in both facets of the play because I thought that we're going to come games we're going to need his late order runs. And if you look at what he's done in SA20, there's no reason to think that he would not have delivered. Also, I thought that as the tournament progressed, he would be better with the bowling. It went the other way. I think he started off okay, and he progressively, as the tournament got to the nitty-gritty, it became more difficult. Let's give a 4 because that performance with the bat against the West Indies, vital. When everybody else was throwing the wickets away and being silly and saying goodbye to the World Cup, that innings with the bat gets the West Indies, gets us over the line. It is this one shining light of the World Cup
that tournament.
But it was hugely, hugely important. So I'm gonna go 4.
There's a moment in every tournament South Africa decides to say goodbye to the tournament earlier than they hoped to. And Marco saved us. Bowling wasn't great. Even though it took a few wickets. Especially in that semi-final, I didn't like it at all. I thought he bowled a mixed bag, inconsistent. He was inconsistent throughout the tournament. I think we need to figure out a solution for him. I think he's one of the guys, along with Reza, who may in the next series be considered he's not good enough to be a frontline bowler. Kutsia and Nandre Berger are better bowlers than him at this stage. Not saying he's not a bad bowler, but this reliance on this batting of his, when is it going to come to fruition? We get 1 in 10, or okay, 1 in 5, right? And West Indies somehow, actually in the tournament it was 1 in 7, it was 1 in 8. We played 8 games. The 8th game, the 7th game he came through. So let's go 1 in 7. I'm not gonna have a guy 1 in 7 every time, hoping that he's gonna come right. And yeah, I really need us to reconsider that number 7 spot. Love Marco, he can't bat at 7. He can bat at 8 if we're resting Kagiso, and if Kagiso and Anuch are resting, he plays. But the other bowlers, like if I'm Nandre Berger, I'm pissed. The only thing is, if I'm Nandre Berger, I need to find a batting coach somewhere. I need to find a way to score runs. Gerald Kutsia as well. Gerald Kutsia is a dark horse in this, and I think Gerald could have, he's got long levers, and we shall see. But yeah, I'm with you. 4 for Marco Jansen wasn't, and I think we should question his position in this squad and the way we want to play. This thing of 6-5, no, sorry guys, no, we can't. We just can't anymore. It doesn't work. We've done it for 3 World Cups now. It doesn't work. Kagiso Rabada. Kagiso.
Because of my lack of expectation, I thought that the other bowlers were potentially going to outshine him, particularly on these kind of wickets. I'm gonna go 8 because he showed that he still absolutely has it. He may not have been the leading wicket taker, but he had it, and he had it in different times of bowling. Those 2 overs against West Indies were just outstanding. We're not having bowled the entire match. That takes something from somebody who's very, very experienced and knows his game inside out. Coming cold like that in a must-win game, that takes a huge amount of mettle. And there's been some criticism of him that perhaps T20 cricket is perhaps the one he should relinquish, so we can play somebody like Jansen on a more regular basis because of his batting ability. So I'm going to go solid 8. Good, solid World Cup all round for Abadi. He can be very, very proud of his performance.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there with that 8, Tim. I felt Kagiso was just superb. That over against Afghanistan, yes, the pitch was doing things, but those 2 wickets, the one for Muhammad Nabi, you're like, you can't fault him there. But yeah, I think he bowled well. I think he led the attack well, as the leader of the attack, and he did really, especially because you're asking Kagiso to bowl in the power plays, right? Anurag is not bowling in the power plays. Marco and Kagiso bowl in the power plays, and he did spectacularly. Well done. I'm happy with that 8 out of 10. Keshav Maharaj.
Let's go 9. Let's get Keshav 9.
Oh, you're putting him in the realms of player of the tournament.
Potentially. I thought his role is very simple within the side, and so his margin for error is wide because his role is a very simple one. It's but it's mainly about restriction. It's mainly about putting pressure on the opposition while his teammates are the menaces of the bowling lineup to get the wickets. I thought he carried his role really, really well. Yes, on pitches that suited him, absolutely, but he still performed, and he showed it once again. I've been saying that I'm not sure he's a three format player. He's proven me wrong. So he absolutely, if the pitches are like this in future tours, there's no reason why he can't keep playing.
Yeah, to me, it's between him and Quinton in terms of player of the tournament. And as well, I think those three. But like the fact that he bowls in the power play, the fact that he can bowl out of the power play, the fact that he took that last over against the Netherlands when we needed him to defend 10 runs, and he did. That says 9.5 to me. It's he changed my view of him as a bowler. And now going forward, there's no other T20 side outside of him. I think Bjorn sat there, watched his opportunity to challenge Keshav, diminish throughout that World Cup went. Tabraiz Shams at least got an opportunity to play, and he then said, I'm chasing this guy. And I think he made Tabraiz a better bowler. I think he was spectacular. And he's a leader. He did everything. And with the bat, look, there's some failings with the bat, but that final over against the Netherlands when we needed to eke out a few runs and he was there trying to get those lusty blows, we remember that. I needed him to get in line with Miller, but he was there with Miller trying to get something for the team. He never shies away. Great tournament. I think if Keshav sits and forgets those last 2 overs against India, I think he holds his head high. Those 2 wickets in that final, that if we're winners, we look to that and say, yeah, that was the moment we broke them. So yeah, well done, Keshav. And then Anuk Nokia.
I'm gonna go 9.5. I'm gonna go 9.5. Because of what we have been discussing when we did the prelims for the World Cup. I didn't know what to expect. He turned down a central contract, rightly, in my opinion, because he wants to get back to full fitness before he starts committing to any sort of 3 formats and that kind of stuff. Lots of injury problems, lots of stop starts, lots of he's coming back in a couple of weeks, lots of that, lots of unknowns. Obviously, the medical department knew they didn't have unknowns. They saw where the nets on a weekly basis. But I think for the average fan, there was trepidation on spinning wickets, slow wickets. Was he going to be a force? Was he going to be difficult to play? Or was he just going to be sitting up and contained all over the field with that extra pace on the pitches? That man delivered. That man delivered like he's had no injury whatsoever over the last 2 years. He delivered like there's nothing wrong with his knees, elbows, shoulders, whatever. That man absolutely delivered everything that he is capable of and why he's so highly thought of. For me, he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, outside of Bumrah, he's the best bowler in the world. Outside of Bumrah, he's number 2 in this tournament. And yeah, even Fazalak Farooqi, I get it, I see it, but yeah, Anwar was out of this world. Without Anwar, we're not in this tournament at all. He had teams in a knot, and yeah, it was great that we could spare him the power play for him to then do things. If I look at how England struggled with Mark Wood and Jofra, and how many other teams were hiding their fast bowlers on these pitches, he was front and center, brought forward, and he did the job. And yeah, it was exceptional. 15 wickets. Yeah, well done to him. 9.5. I'm there with you. Number 11, Tabraiz Shamsi. What do you give him? You didn't play.
I'm gonna give 9 again. I'm gonna give 9. The pressure that was there with having Keshav as there, knowing that he wasn't going to play every game, knowing that he wasn't necessarily going to be the number 1 spinner in the team, having that added pressure that he was going to play, because we said when he missed out the first couple of games, we said he was going to play. There was no doubt about that. He was definitely going to play. And when he did play, boy, did he deliver. Absolutely. The final game against Nepal, 4 for 19, 3 for 27 against the West Indies, and 3 for 6 against Afghanistan. And then he spoke to him he bowled really well in that final. I thought he bowled. I was sitting there worried. I was thinking it's going to be 9 for 50. It's going to be 9 for 50. The game's over, and thanks very much.
Yeah, I think
so. With all that added pressure, I think it's a 9.5 for him. Really, it's outstanding performance.
9.5. Tim, you've went up. Okay, fine. 9 out of 10 for Shamsi for me. Bowled with so much control, bowled with so much enthusiasm. It wasn't easy sitting out the prelims, but when Super Sixes started and we needed him, he put up his hand. He didn't play a lot of games, so he's not going to be in contention for player of the tournament for South Africa. But man, that Shamsi is the Shamsi that was the best bowler in the world a couple of years ago. And we need more of that. And Tabrez, if you're listening to this, keep it up. I want Shamsi and Keshav always 2 spinners in this 11. I don't care where we're playing, what we're doing. They work. I'm always been an advocate for 2 spinners. Him and Keshav should be one of the first few names on that team list. And I think Shamsi closed the door for Bartman completely. We didn't go into that final on some we're just putting Bartman in because Shamsi's not playing well. Shamsi played well, even against the team he struggles with. And congratulations, that guy was wild. And last man, Othniel Bartman, played in the prelims and won Super 6. Didn't have a great game in that Super 6, but Super 8. But yeah, what do you make of his performance in the World Cup?
I'm gonna give a pass. I'm gonna give a 6. I'm gonna give a 6 because he showed his class enough in this World Cup why he is so highly thought of around the world. Yes, everybody's going to go on that game, and yes, it was a bad game. Everybody gets it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong in an over or 2. Everybody gets it wrong. There were good games that he had in that group stages. I actually thought he might come back, not necessarily all the time, but I thought he might have come back. I was a little bit surprised he never came back after that game against England. I think he showed enough of his abilities and his class. And they're absolutely in those group stages. There were games when he did bowl well. His figures show that, his figures don't show you that England performance. They don't show you that, which I'm glad, because I think overall, I think it was a passable World Cup for him.
Yeah. I'm different to you. I think he bowled better than what you say. I think I'm giving him a 7. I think it's just one over. We are letting that over cover everything that he has done. Up until then, he was a go-to power play bowler. Him, Kagiso, and Marco were the only fast bowlers asked to bowl in the power play, and he came out really well. Bowled better than Marco, and in some instances better than Kagiso. And it was just that one over. And to a certain extent, had he played in the other Super 6 games and played in more pressure situations, and he had succeeded, it would have gone to an 8, but we never got that opportunity. I was really happy to have him on the bench to come in case of injury or anything else, because I thought he had it. I thought we had unlocked a gem, and in the next World Cup, he's going to be even more problematic. And I'm just excited for our fast bowling. We came into this World Cup, Tim, thinking our batting would carry us home, but then we found out that actually no, everything's right in the bowling department. And well done to Eric Simons and Coach Rob for that, because that hummed, and it hummed a lot. And obviously, unfortunate for Bjorn, Ryan, and Gerald for not getting a game in this tournament. But yeah, before we close off, Tim, where do we go from here?
We need to find a new opener, and we need to. Oh,
you're not giving Ryan a chance?
No, what I meant was Visa. Thank you very much, Visa. So Ryan will obviously come in. I'm not necessarily thinking opener, but potentially yes. So Ryan comes in.
Okay.
You still need somebody else. So I want Matthew. I want Matthew Brzezinski to come straight in. So you've got Matthew Brzezinski and Ryan to choose from, and to decide from there. And then the all-rounder spot. We don't need proven. We don't need a third spinner. So whether it is Michael Proteas, whether it is John Spatz, whether it is Leon Mulder, I'm not necessarily sold on any of them. Although I think Michael Proteas, I think he's doing really good stuff across formats at the moment as well. But that's also an area of reflection that needs to happen.
Is that the universe of number sevens? Because the other issue is obviously, is that the universe of number sevens? Because the other issue is, what do you do with Marco? Does you drop Marco to 8 and bring in another quick? Because then that compromises Kagiso or Anrich, right? I know a couple of years ago we were thinking going with one of Kagiso and Anrich and just have batting or bowling all rounders. So have a Marco, have a Michael, and that would cover you from and you can have the ability to bat to 9. Do you want to go that England route and be more aggressive?
No, I don't want to have bits and pieces players like England.
Okay.
I think England made a mistake of that. I want guys who are quality in this format in their best format. We absolutely need an all-rounder, but I don't want 4 all-rounders. I don't want 4 Owen Arleys.
So you want someone to compete with Marco at 7.
Exactly. Marco needs
Who
to
are
know,
those people currently that need to put their hands up? If you had to go to them and say, hey, this is you, this is your job, who are those people?
Well, obviously it's gonna have to be Vian. That's one. The other one is Michael Proteas, but I think Michael Proteas is already answering the call. If you go, even if we extend it beyond this format, Mark, he is producing the goods, batting and bowling across countries. He's doing very, very well in county cricket at the moment.
And before he left, he was the leading wicket taker in the CSA T20 as well.
Yeah, so he's doing really, really well at the moment. And he's the right age. I want somebody that's more important to me. More important to me that he is ideally under 30. That's ideally what I want. I don't necessarily want a stopgap.
So
we've got enough experience at the side.
So the likes of a Dan Khalim, a Jason Smith won't make it in. Jason's more of a batter. Khalim was the guy that we thought could come through. He can still do it. He's still young enough. Mihlalim Pongwana, if he works on his batting a little bit more. You needed someone like a Wayne Parnell, but a younger version, because Wayne at 7 made our lives so much easier.
Yeah, I think it was not necessarily that we lacked options. I think Rob was correct in terms of what to expect from the pitches. But I think for the makeup of our side, having an extra spinner actually worked against us, because it meant that Marco's tip and form was not going to be replaced. It didn't matter how poor he was going to be.
Yes.
He was not going to be replaced. And that was an issue in this World Cup.
Yeah.
And that can't be an issue. You have to have a backup on there. You've got to have... He is a generational talent, Marco. I think he's going to be an exceptional cricketer across formats. But if he has no pressure, then why should he keep trying harder to prove himself?
Exactly.
He's got nobody pushing him. What incentive is there to be better?
Yeah, and I think the first squad where we play the T20s, I don't know, I think it's India the next time we play T20s. I think that squad needs to give a chance to Michael, as well as possibly even Vian another chance. And then you figure out what happens. You let Marco rest and see what they have. But the SA20s is a beautiful thing. It will bring out many other things. And there's many of these under 20s who played, under 19s who played last year, who are coming in, who have that dual role, as you would call it. But let's see. that's where South Africa need to, I think, strengthen. It's at all-rounder spot, and as you say, it's at the top with opening, obviously, because Aiden. Do you push Aiden to open and bring in a number 3 so he can at least get the ball when it's fresh?
In this format, I suppose you could get away with this, but I still think Aiden should be getting runs from where he is. I still think he should be getting runs in that position. I'm happy if it's a shootout between Britsky and Ryan at the top. Right. I'm happy with that, as long as Quinton is still around.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We need to find a way to keep Quinton. Well, the Proteas return on Wednesday, but there'll be everyone else is going to the US for the MLC. So there's only a few players who are coming back. So there'll be opportunities to chat to players and listen. So please do watch out for there. There'll be a few people coming back, not everyone, but to end it off, it's been a great tournament for the Proteas. They exceeded expectations. We made it to a final, and we lost it when we had it in our hands. Tim, final words in the tournament?
Overall, fantastic tournament. We can be proud. I have a worry, though. With 2026 around the corner, they got wounded in 2022. The same players have got wounded in 2024. I'm worried that we are recreating wounds, and that is an area of concern for me. Those wounds from 1999, they carried until 2007. These wounds are going from 2022 to 2026. We need to find a way to not having amnesia.
Yeah, we need to find a way to break generational curses, but that comes with the SA20. I look at India winning that World Cup in 2007, and it started the IPL. We just started SA20. It's our second year, and it's quality, and we got to a World Cup final. We will produce the players that will win us a World Cup. I believe that. It may not be 2026, maybe 2030, 28 or 30, but what's happening in the SA20 kind of gives us an indication that we're on the right track. And what's happened in this month has shown that we're on the right track. Guys, that's the end of our podcast. I want to say thank you to everyone who's listened and watched. Please do like, follow, and subscribe on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, so you know when we go live. Please do follow us on all those platforms. We also have an audio option on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so please do follow there. Please do rate and review. We really do appreciate it. One other thing is the Proteas. Congratulations to them on a great tournament. It is disappointing. And to close it off, it was a choke. It was. You were in a winning position and you lost it, but you were in the final. You broke one barrier. And normally when teams make it to that next level for the first time, they end up losing their first match. And that's fine. It happens to everyone. Next time when you're in this position, you will know better. And the way everything is going with T20 in South Africa and CSA's focus on T20, well done, CSA. Congratulations on the great idea and great movement. SA20 is actually reaping fruits, and this is the fruits that it's reaping. It's showing that it's probably the second best tournament in the world because we managed to go up against the players in the richest league in the world and the most established T20 league in the world, and we came within a centimeter of embarrassing them and taking it away from them. So I'm excited. Really, really great tournament. Outside of that, everyone, thank you very much. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, all the things in the bottom there. Please do those things. Support us. We'll be back with more content in the month of July. It is off season, so it will come through, and it's the think pieces. It's for the cricket nerds like ourselves. And if you're a cricket nerd, you'll enjoy the content we're bringing. Yes, Tim?
Just to whet your appetite, because I think it's important. We don't always whet your appetite. We have an interview next week. So if you want to see an interview with a player next week, subscribe, follow, and share for Quarter Pod.
Yes, that's all it is. Thanks, Tim. Tim summed it up well. Outside of that, everyone, goodbye and le sale kakafiso.